On this computer. Boom.
All
right. You want to do the welcome to another episode of Business Bros? And I got to do the little twinkle fingers because that's a Mike Cuevas thing. Woo. Yeah, dude, it kind of got stuck now. I don't do the Zoom very much, but when I do, now it's got to be one of those. That's just a testament, a little shout out to you.
All right. How's my sound? Are you good?
Yep, you sound good.
Cool.
Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been like a pit bull nipping at this guy's ankles for a while, trying to get him on the show. Finally got him on here, Mr. Mike Cuevas, the real estate marketing dude. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it. And yes, you have been. We should have done this a long time ago, but we just keep missing each other because we're just busy.
Yeah, well, life kind of keeps us going in the right direction, and as long as we stay busy, that's a good thing.
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. By the way, again, love the marketing dude banner in the background. Thanks. I got to get me one of them. Look at my background. It's gray.
It's usually just green right here. I did this just for you, dude.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate it. All right, man. Well, I kind of want to get to know Mike Cuevas. We'll talk about, business stuff in a little bit, but I kind of want to know where you started. Where did you come from? What got you into the business?
Yeah. So, 2002 is when I got licensed. Real estate was actually my last class I took as a college elective in college, and I needed it to graduate. And, it's like one of those things, you go to college and no one really does their degree. I fit in that one of those categories, but it was just so that my teacher's like, yeah, so you can make a lot of fucking money in real estate. I'm like, ding. So I figured, hey, why not? My degree was always was advertising and or marketing. I figured, shit, I'll just go market myself. But just like any new agent, you find out that it's really not that easy, especially when you're 22 years old, trying to sell $400,000 condos. But that's how I actually got licensed. It was just on accident, to be honest with you. It ended up being my career.
Dude, college is one of those places where you figure it out. And oftentimes people figure it out at the end when they're already done. When they have to actually go out and get a job and they realize, oh, shit, this piece of paper is not getting me where I wanted to go. Now what? I'll
tell you what I did learn in college is I learned how to socialize. I grew up in an area, southwest side of Chicago. So, we grew up in a predominantly white area. We never got to interact. And even though I'm Mexican, we didn't interact with a lot of other Mexican people or African-American people or Chinese people or anything else. So the socialization of college is honestly what I got the most out of. I had friends from all different types of backgrounds and all different, parts of Illinois in that case, since I was in Southern Illinois, some around the country. But the socialization, interacting, relationship building was really the best skill I learned in college. And that all played a fact into later on in life, no doubt.
All right. So you get your license. Then what? I mean, you just kicked it off and that's it? You were automatic success or what?
No, I got my license. And the very first place I started at was a brokerage called Home Touch, which operated out of Water Tower Mall. And Water Tower Mall is on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. And they used to actually pay us a salary. So we'd get paid $1,500, and it was $1,200 every 2 weeks. And back then I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Right? My rent in college used to be $250. So I was getting $1,250 every 2 weeks. And I was like, whoa, I'm selling houses. But what's interesting is that we had a kiosk on the bottom of Water Tower Mall right next to Fannie Mae Chocolates. And tons of people are walking in and out of there. And literally it was just a kiosk that had a bunch of listings and televisions that showcase different listings. And we would just stand there in front of them and people would stop and have conversations with us. And we would talk to them. And that's how we got our leads. I sold my first 4 houses right out of the mall. And what's funny is that the very first house I sold was, this is important for all your listeners. If we're not in sales, we're in service, we're in relationship building, period. And the second you start fucking selling someone, you're done, especially on a cold call. And it's funny because I remember the first sale I got was $420,000. Like that number?
Perfect. College kid.
Yeah, right. And so I meet this guy. He comes into the mall, and he's an attorney, right? I have nothing in fucking common with this guy. I knew early on, and I always took a content marketing approach early on because I knew that the only way anyone was going to take me seriously as a 22-year-old kid was that I'd have to educate them. I'd have to earn their business. I'd have to know the process in and out. When I got home from work every night, I didn't sell a house for the first 6 months, and I didn't go out for the first 6 months. But when I got home at night, every single person I met, I was constantly building my database. And when I wasn't, I was on the MLS clicking around, learning the streets, learning the markets, learning everything. There was never a dull moment because I knew that the more I knew, the easier I would be able to convert with one of these people I'd meet at Water Tower Mall. So it's as funny as that. So I'm always, the very first thing I do with any lead is, what's my rapport? What do I have in common with them? I don't care about real estate. I want to talk and find common ground first and foremost. And I found out that this attorney, total square guy, like you would never see us together in a restaurant or anything, but he was in a fraternity. And so was I.
Bingo.
So we related, and so would you go to school? All that. I just kept asking question until I could relate to him. And then once I had the attorney thing, he didn't even know it was my first deal. I don't even know if he ever did know that he was my first client. But I built rapport, and I got him to like me. I got him to trust me. And that's always been my game, is I've always built rapport before I ever talk business. Because if you think about it, people are going to do business with agents they know, like, and trust.
Yep. 100%. Know, like, and trust. And that's, dude, that's the hugest part of, I think, where most agents tend to fall off is, you're right. They go straight for the sale. Hey, are you planning on listing your home?
Yep.
That's script. I mean, yeah, it's good to ask for the business, but at the same time, like, who the hell are you?
Let me give you guys a good question that you could ask yourself. Here's how you could tell if you're running a business or you're just a salesperson. All right. You're just a salesperson if you get excited by the first transaction.
You get a little giddy in your stomach.
Yeah. And that first transaction, the truth is that the average person buys 3 to 5 houses over their lifetime. The average person can refer you to 2 or 3 people per year. So selling that first house is fucking pennies when you look at the big picture. And that's the difference between running a business and working a job. I think 98% of agents are working a job. They're not really running a business. And that's why 90% do the top 10.
Right. But however, that being said, when an agent does close their first deal, they are super excited. I mean,
by all means, definitely be excited. I'm not saying don't get excited, but 80% of buyers don't ever hear from their agent again. And 80% of buyers forget their agent's name 6 months post-transaction. So the true transaction is done with the referral and the relationship built after that first closed transaction. And if you play your cards right in the relationship building and you really juice, I look at everyone in my spheres of my sales force. It's like 10 to 15% of the population moves each and every year, right? This is math. It's not theory. This isn't like, go do Facebook ads. You're going to go out and close a bunch of deals and get rich. No, it's a popularity contest, 76% of people use the first agent they speak to. So what is the whole point of marketing? Is be the first person they think of when they think of real estate. That's half the battle. I'd say that's 90% of the battle, is just being the first person they think of.
All right, well, let's go back to your story. I mean, so you closed one deal at 420, like all of a sudden, like, it all, or what ended up happening there?
My first year, I think I did 15 to 18 deals, if I'm not mistaken. But I started out with the cold calling. I started out sitting some open houses. But honestly, all my business really did come from my sphere. I did one thing that I did was back then I used to have the 800 numbers. Mm-hmm. And I had an 800 number, and I would go to other brokerages and I would say, hey, can I market your listings for free? And then I would buy an ad in one of those little real estate books that they have at the grocery stores. Mm-hmm. And I had like 10 listings on there. And this little punk kid, 22 years old, and everyone thought they were mine, but I was marketing other people's listings, of course, with their permission. And people would call the 800 number, it'd ping me, I'd get a lead, and I would follow up and convert. So that was the only lead gen I did that actually put money into. Everything else was warm. Everything else was database.
So what stuff did you suck at? Because I couldn't imagine that you came up with the 1-800 thing like, oh, this is the perfect deal. And then boom, that's the one that was successful.
There's a difference between permission-based marketing, where I'm calling back someone who inquired to me, mm-hmm. and just straight up cold call prospecting. I am horrible at prospecting.
Well, at least you know what you're good at.
I can't call like someone, like, I don't even like calling people for sales calls on real estate marketing, dude, to be honest with you. I have other people doing that. But I don't like the chase. I really don't. I don't like the chase. I've always liked the attraction, and it just burnt me out. Some people, if you're good at cold calling, by all means, do it and own it. But, for the majority of us that aren't, it's hard. And that I also remember 87% of new agents fail. I think a big reason to that is they're told to go cold call and do things they don't like to begin with. Right. You
said something kind of magical here that you kind of grazed over, but you were advertising other people's stuff for free. There's a lot of stuff that I noticed when I talk to people who are successful that they go out and do for free. And then I talk to people who are not successful, and everything they do, they charge for.
Sure.
Right. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about being, bringing that value first and foremost, giving somebody something that they're looking for. What does that do for your relationship?
Well, if you're brand new, you got to prove yourself, period. I'm doing it right now. I've done a couple custom videos because we launched our custom video script side for real estate marketing, dude. And we had to do a couple, we should be charging $2,000 for these videos. We did those for free, but I'm playing the long game. I know the exposure of the videos that we did for people are strategically aligned, that they're going to reach a lot of other people. And virtually all of them have led the business. But I think the difference is I think of step 3 versus step 2 ahead of time. I'm thinking of down the road versus what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, well, long-term thinking, long game thinking. I heard you talking to Sam the other day, and he said something that I found, I mean, immensely profitable, if you want to even call it profitable. It was, how he got to being the speaker at the TNC conversion. I said, I'm just asking, what's going on in your life and how can I be of service to that?
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about how you met Sam. Like, where did that connection come from? I mean, you crossed the country, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that story.
Well, I met Sam at a Mastermind back in the short sale days, 2009 or so. And then we just hit it off. That time I was doing big business, probably 30 closings a month, give or take. We had probably the top short sale team in the country at that time, 28 agents. And we had a machine, but we owned a loss mitigation department. We knew exactly how to negotiate short sales. And we were really good at it. And we're always differentiating. We went into that market because nobody else did. I'm going into videos right now because no one else is, right? So I'm always zigging while they're zagging. I'm doing the opposite of the norm. But short story is that we met at a mastermind, and back then I had a short sale training mastermind as well. So Sam emceed some of my events, and we just sort of stayed in touch ever since. Started building my software company up, and I'm like, dude, they're using it, so I'm like, I got to move out there, be a fly on the wall. I wasn't really complaining. So,
but you dropped the whole life. Like I'm imagining you had, I mean, you're talking about the success that you had over there in Chicago, the big money machine that you were running. You dropped all that to move across the country. Like what?
Cold turkey.
Thinking, like what's going through your head?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to, Sam, on that same video, Sam also mentioned is that if you're not going to be extremely uncomfortable, or you're not willing to step outside the boundaries and get uncomfortable, then you're never going to make that big break. And I'm willing to throw the dice. I'm willing to roll the dice. When you believe in something as much as you do, then you shouldn't really worry about it. That coupled with faith really solves my anxiety. But, it's just one of those things. It just felt like the right time. I was burnt out selling real estate. And I knew that if I didn't get out of there, I would never be able to do two things at once. I do believe you can only do one. I read the book recently, Gary Keller's The One Thing.
Mm.
And that book really changed a lot of the way I was trying to do too much for the first 12 months I was out here. And that book really refocused me on marketing services, that is. But I think that's true for everybody. Be good at one freaking thing. Know what your strengths are. Know what your weaknesses are. We all have some. And, hire out the rest. And honestly, that's a lot of stuff that these guys have taught me out here. I've learned a lot about business since I've been out here. But yeah, we literally just got up, moved across the country, left the job, left everything there because I'm doing it for the greater good.
So how do you, when you decided to move out here, and actually let's go back a little bit. How did you get into deciding that masterminding was the right thing to do? Was it something that you were, back in when you first started, before you had this machine at the short sale market, or did you start masterminding after that? When did you decide that I need to look up to people?
Yeah, that was the first one. So here's another thing I would say. I've always gone to a lot of events. So the only way I learned how to do short sales, and it's funny because in Chicago, you guys were killing short sales out here. We're 2 years after you. And that's a trend that's very true across the nations. Like the Midwest always gets hit last. Like people were still tight rolling their jeans in Chicago and fucking Zeke Averiti, and when that shit was way out. But we're always like that with all trend. I realized that's throughout my career. So nobody in Chicago knew what a short sale was. That was the opportunity. So I was traveling the country, going to every fucking event. And that's how I met a lot of the gurus. And that's how I learned all the stuff I did. I would literally go somewhere once a month, wherever short sales are being talked about. And I learned from a bunch of different people. And I slowly, same way Sam says how he emceed, all of the people that I looked up to, slowly I was on their stages then down the road, and slowly I was doing webinars for them and all of this other stuff. So I put myself in that position, though, is the point. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. And if you don't put yourself around people who are thinking bigger than you are, you're not going to grow.
Yeah, no, that's you've heard that said more than one occasion. A lot of people tell you the same thing. They'll even break it down to, the top 5 people you hang out with, look at their incomes, average it out. That's where you're going to end up being. The top 5 people you hang out with physically, what do they look like? That's probably physically what you're going to look like. So
Totally.
each of us has that, that pattern. How did you decide, better yet, how did you make yourself the person that those 5 people wanted to hang out with you?
Funny thing is that all these like people you see on stage or you see and they may be your idol, you may follow them. They're all fucking human.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone through the same shit that any of us have. All of them have been at the bottom of the barrel. All of them have been at the top of their game. All of them have put in grunt work. So at the end of the day, they're just human beings. I surround myself with the people that I want to learn from, and that wasn't happening in Chicago. None of my friends are doing national type products in Chicago. My friends are sitting around getting drunk on Saturdays and going to watch college football games still all day. I'm not going to go anywhere with them. So that's exactly why I moved.
Dude,
so
that's again, I mean, honestly, I have a hard time. I mean, I was born in LA, but I was raised in San Diego. I can't see myself like leaving to another spot after that. Did you have a family, by the way, when you decided to move across Chicago?
Yep. Moved them all with
Woo!
3, 7 and a wife.
Woo! All right. So that's got to be a tough sales pitch. How do you get the wife to jump on board to leave her roots? Because I don't personally know your family or anything, but unless she's involved in the business, that's got to be one hell of a sales pitch.
Well, I closed it over a couple months. I did 2 events out here. The first event, I brought the family out knowing that I was going to try to soft close them on the move. The second event, I was looking for a place.
Wow.
So we did those in about 60 days. And then we moved about 3 months faster than I thought we were going to, because I let my team know in Chicago. I'm like, look, guys, I'm starting something else. I'm going to be gone at the end of the year. This is like in February, March. My partner called me later on that day and he's like, hey, dude, you know what? I was going to go off on myself. Like, he's been with me for 5 years. He's grown. He's done his own. Every one of my agents are doing 20 million a year now, easily. And he grew up, so he was going to go off on his own. So I was like, perfect. Got to make the school year. So I had to get here before school started for the kids.
Perfect.
That's why it happened so fast.
Well, it's funny how your life revolves around them, even though you have your businesses that revolve around you.
Yep.
So, all right, tell me a little bit about what life's like today for Mr. Cuevas. What are you focusing your attention on today?
I'm focusing my attention on creating attention for real estate agents using video. All we do is we have done for you. We make video marketing pretty easy. With real estate agents, we teach them how to sell, shoot videos on their cell phones, and we do all the heavy lifting. That's really it. And, it's a problem. I follow Billie Jean a lot, and there's a good, we just talked about this at a mastermind we were at yesterday, but in one of his talks, he says that you get paid by how many problems you solve. Mm-hmm. And he says and he goes into examples. So he's like, a cleaner gets paid maybe like someone who cleans your house gets paid like, I don't know, maybe like $50 to go clean your house, because there's a million fucking cleaners out there. There's not a shortage of them. But somebody who knows how to do something very specific, like let's just say can conduct a short sale and a very specific niche within real estate, there's not as many people that can do that. So you could solve more problems. Therefore, your value goes up. What I'm doing right now is I'm focused strictly on video because I know it's the biggest problem in the real estate industry. And most people's content is very boring. It's very self-serving, and none of it involves story or branding or marketing at all. It's really just like a sales pitch. And that's what we're out to change.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about right now. I mean, everybody has a cell phone camera. Everybody has a little camcorder. Everybody has the ability to do Zoom videos or whatever it is. But everybody's stuff sucks. How important is creating a story? And is it really that difficult to create a story that actually is entertaining?
No, it's not. And HGTV's already proven the model for us. We just got to copy them. There's nothing here to recreate. It's very simple. It's like, we know that we need to stay in front of our database. Agreed? Mm-hmm. So how do we do it without being a douchebag? How do we do it without always just like think about it. Like, do you really want to always just be selling and pushing real estate?
No, and the thing is, when I scroll through my Facebook feed and I got a lot of realtors on there, it's almost always the same thing. It's look at this bathroom, look at this kitchen,
Look at
call
me,
me.
me.
Exactly.
So let me give you an example of like what I mean by storytelling for your listeners. So instead of saying just listed, just sold, why wouldn't you instead say this 49-year-old homeowner just got another bedroom. He's paying $500 less a month and he's no longer renting. He's owning. Here's how. It does the same thing, but I'm doing it with a story. That's what HGTV does. They go around and they follow the story and the process of the transition. So start focusing on whom you're serving and not what you're selling. Start focusing on how you're selling or how you're serving them with the unique processes you have in place versus how many, what you put on the leaderboard this month.
Dude,
right? If you think about it, everyone's always like, I made more fucking money than you did today. That's what you're really saying when you say just listed, just sold. You're bragging. And it's the reason, it's funny because you go on Facebook and then you'll see like a realtor will post and they'll have like 10 comments. And it's the title rep, the mortgage rep, and it's everyone who's trying to get their business. No, there's no engagement. There's no real engagement on it.
Right.
There's some. But when an agent takes a long form post and just writes a little bit more on the story, people can relate to that a lot better. And that's what this is about. It's about, the other thing I tell people a lot too is like for me, if you look at your last 10 closings, chances are that 9 out of 10 of the last 10 people, if you're a dude, became your beer drinking buddies, or if you're a gal, maybe they're like your gal pals. You guys go get some fucking manicures and pedicures together, whatever. Right. But the point is that it's because we attract like people. We all do. Right. So you're not like me and attorneys. I'm sorry, we're not going to get along. We have nothing in common. You guys are way too nerdy for me. You're way too serious. Yeah, I can't make them laugh. Doctors, like, we got nothing in fucking common. But that's fine. I know who I relate to. And in real estate, everyone wants to be the jack of all trades, and you relate with absolutely none. And if you look at some of the agents that do the most amount of business, without naming any names, a lot of them are in the military niche. Some of them are in this niche or this niche, but you realize all of them are within a niche. The other thing you see is like biggest agent in California is in San Diego, Kyle Whissel, agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's no coincidence that Kyle Whissel also has a media department.
Right.
He understands to build his brand.
Yeah,
he's telling stories. Right. And you could look at that. You could look at any team across the country. Look at Carrie Scholl on the West Coast. She did fucking $8 million in GCI last year. She has 4 videographers on staff. She has a whole media department in office. And I think what you're going to see in the next 18 to 20 months is that every single person will have a media department in office. Every brokerage. They're going to have to. Video's here. It's not going anywhere. And
you're already starting.
It's a brand building thing. It's not a lead generation thing. That's the difference, though, that a lot of people want to go out and start do a video. I'm just going to start spitting leads. No, it doesn't work that way.
All right. New agent comes in the picture, realizes that video is a big thing. Should they go out and blow thousands of dollars in a bunch of podcast equipment, video cameras, a crew? Like,
no,
what's the best approach?
Yeah, it's a good question. Fancy, expensive equipment doesn't make your shit good. What you say and how you say it does. So to answer your first question about video, our equipment list that we send out for people when we buy them the equipment to shoot these on the cell phone. It costs a whopping $82 all in.
Oh, dude, you're breaking my bank.
Yes. So we don't. All we need, because we already know what the end result is, right? So, for example, when I'm creating a video, I already know what I want to shoot. I'm not just going out and shooting a bunch of random shit and figuring it out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I'm capturing the shots I need to take. Right?
So you're saying you actually need to plan the story, almost storyboard what you're going to do before you actually start filming.
Absolutely. Think about it this way. Video is no differently than direct mail farming. Anyone listening to this podcast is familiar with direct mail farming, right? And let's look at the process and how it works. And it still works today. I like direct mail farming. But typically an agent would take 500 doors. They're going to go out and pick a neighborhood, whatever, say it's Del Cerro. And then these postcards are going to go out once a month, right? To the neighborhood. Now, after year 1, maybe you get 1 to 3 listings. Year 2, maybe you get 3 to 5. Maybe year 3, you get 7+ or whatever. I don't know. But it grows over time. And the reason why that happens is because every month you keep fucking showing up. You show up on you show up in their mailbox. You show up there so that after a while, people start to say, that's our neighborhood real estate guy. That's our neighborhood real estate guy. It's over time with consistent communication, you build a brand. You need 3 things to build a brand. 1, you need an audience. 2, in real estate agents, your audience is your SOI and your local community. Okay. We already have a built-in audience. Look at your fucking Facebook. That's what it is. Every single one of those friends, the reason why you're going to be fucking so angry when one of them buys or sells keys with me and they didn't use you, that's part of your audience.
You weren't getting your message out.
You weren't getting the message out. It's not their job to remember what you do for a living. It's your job to remind them what you do for a living. There's so much noise out there that we have to be consistent with it. So back to direct mail farming. If I took off 1 month because I'm like, you know what? I'm going on vacation for Christmas. I'm gonna take off 1 month. Does it have the potential to screw up the previous 11 months of marketing?
Of course it does. You weren't consistent.
Absolutely. Well, it's no different with video. Okay. If you're going to do video, there's a couple different ways to do it. Yes, there's going to be videos that pop up. Like there's going to be some stuff that comes like, I got to do a video on that. Great. Some stuff is going to be spontaneous. However, when you're building a video series, you need to have a series. You need to name the series. You need to consistently carry out the series. When you name a series, it gives you the excuse to report your own news. No differently than your podcast right here.
The only reason the podcast has done anything is I'm
consistent.
Exactly what you're saying. It's consistency. We're on every day. And whether or not you listen to every day is up to you, but you see it every day.
I'll give you my my podcast numbers. I'll show you what happened with 1 week of inconsistency just last week. So usually I get about 5,000 to 7,000 downloads a week. I missed an episode 2 Saturdays ago. My downloads for that week were about 2,500 versus 7,000.
Ouch.
My website traffic was down 2,000 for the month.
Ouch.
So it tells you that consistency. Now what's going to happen, I've done it a couple of times. Like sometimes life gets in the way, right? It happens to me too. It happens to everybody. But that's why you have to pre-plan this stuff.
Yes.
You know, you cannot run a media. You guys are all little mini media companies and you are the brand. People think it's weird because I'm Mike. I'm not a brand. What the fuck you right? That's how people
are.
But you are. If you were to open up a bakery, what the fuck would that be? You're still the owner.
It's still your brand. You're the cupcake or the cake guy.
Just because it's physical doesn't change anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's a lot of the hurdles I see happen.
Well, I mean, if you think about that consistency thought process, that works with anything, whether it is a cold calling.
It's not a real estate thing. Absolutely.
No, it's any type of business. It's pretty much anything, whether you want to lose weight, I don't care what it is. Consistency is the key.
You want a good marriage? You need to go on date night. You know, it's everything. And that's what drives me nuts. It's like, you guys, this isn't rocket science. It just takes the willingness to learn and the willingness to take action and do it. This isn't hard. It's just, you have to understand that you got to do it consistently. It's like anything else in life.
So what advice do you give? I mean, this is kind of a easy question. The answer is consistency, but what advice would you give to an agent that isn't being successful? Because I guarantee the problem is you're not consistent, but how do you get them to that level? What are you guys doing over there, especially like at Big Block, for example, that turns these agents into something that they're doing on a consistent basis?
Good question. So there's only one thing every real estate agent can do universally across the board. Some agents are going to be good at Zillow and converting. Some agents will be good at open houses. Some agents will be good at FSBOs. Some agents will be good at expireds. Some agents are good at this and that. Everyone's different because they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. But the only thing that every single agent can do that I couldn't break, that you couldn't break for them, is infiltrate their own level of relationships. So I'll give you a story. Before I left Chicago, my team was down to 4 or 5 agents. I had myself, I'm like the 37-year-old white Mexican kid. I have Jerry from the South Side. Jerry's from the South Side. He's a black guy. I have Luke. He's a Polish guy from the Northwest side. I had an Indian guy, Anat, and then I had a 26-year-old girl who just graduated college. So we had every different age group, different demographic. None of us had the same friends, but I did this sort of as a test. Now, I had the website. I knew that I knew that none of them knew how to turn on their databases, but I did. So it was my job just to create the content for them so that we can activate them. Now, with each one of their networks, each one of those people has a Facebook group page. They all have email lists. They all have direct mail lists. I cannot penetrate any of those 3 relationship lists with anything I would do because I don't have a relationship with those people. They do. But what I can do is activate their relationships and start getting them on radars, because regardless of whose audience it is, 10 to 15% of the population moves each and every year. That's stat number one. So if I have 100 people on my Facebook and I do 3 posts that are somewhat remind people I do real estate every day, am I more likely to get some of the calls when 10 to 15% of those 100 people move? Sure. Because I'm going to be the first person they think of. I'm going to mitigate the chance. I'm going to mitigate the chance of them going with someone else, and just because I'm everywhere all the time. So all I did was create content. I have them create an email list. I have them create their social media list, and then I would just consistently create content for them, put it out to their email list, put it out to their social media list, force them to do direct mail to their database. And what happened? They all start producing, because they can infiltrate their relationships more than I can. Now, it doesn't happen overnight for a new agent. You're looking at like 4 to 6 months, but you can't build a business without first focusing on building a brand. If you don't have the brand, you'll never have the business. A brand is not only exists because there's an audience of people that know who the hell you are and what you stand for. That's it.
It's funny though, because it's a generational thing too. You say brand, and there's people who are thinking, well, I don't need to build a brand. I'm not Coca-Cola, right? I'm not Tide. I'm not, I'm not Geico. And so they use that as like a cop out to say, well,
Totally.
that's not what I do. I'm not,
Let's make it simple. All right. So 2 people, I don't know if this is gonna be a video. Not you guys, if you guys can't hear this, I got my 2 fingers holding up. We're doing hand puppets, finger puppets. All right. So there's 2 people here. Hey, I need to buy a house. Great. Call my guy, Mike. How many people say that? I have a brand if one person says that. How big my brand is how many people will say that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
All having a brand is when 2 people are talking about real estate, it's like, you got to call my guy. What makes someone instantly associate your name with the term real estate anytime they see it? And that's why you want to be consistent everywhere you go. I nurture relationships through video.
Yeah. No, that's as simple as you can get it. I love that, by the way. It's perfect because you get that argument all the time. Oh, I don't build a brand. I don't need to do that. And I think the concept of being, of that huge brand kind of washes them out. And I think personally, it's just a cop out. It's an excuse for not doing the work.
You don't need a huge brand. That's whatever. Like, you guys don't need a bunch of followers and all this other crap. Like, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need a core group of people, if you're a local real estate agent, to know who the hell you are and what you do. Especially in a market like San Diego, the average sales price is like $700,000.
How many of those do you need to close?
Yeah. I mean, how many do you really need to close? But the point is, you got to stay in front of your people. Like, can you imagine the bakery example? Not keeping track of anyone who ordered a cake ever. Not keeping track of any of their past clients. Or let's just do a retail store. So let's do one for guys, one for women, because I think they relate to this better. All right, women. There's a shoe sale on at your favorite shoe store. It's got the best pumps in the fucking world. All right. You love these pumps. And when you go to that store and you check out, they're like, hey, can I get your email address? You would like me to email that receipt on over to you? Or they have some kind of contact info. Anything that you order online, that's why you keep getting all these coupons, because it is more profitable to market and stay in front of past customers than it is to acquire new ones.
Right. Customer acquisition cost. I mean, you can go back to the baker. If every single person that came into the bakery bought one time, how many clients? Dude, you'd go crazy trying to acquire new clients all the time.
Yep.
Versus if that one was super happy, you set something up where like, hey, we want to do this special thank you, post the cake and their story of whatever they were doing for whatever event, wedding, birthday, bar mitzvah, whatever. Send it to them, then they share it with their network of people. This is where I got this awesome cake.
Correct.
That's your brand.
Yeah. Let me, I have a good example for you that I think that'll sort of tie it together for everyone. So there's this gal, she's in East Coast, DC or Virginia or something like that. So we meet with her. We figure out that if she were to win the lotto tomorrow, like she's in real estate because real estate pays her bills. Let me first say that. So she works in real estate. She likes real estate, but it's not her passion.
Right.
So we meet with her. We figure out that she's like this. She loves cooking. She's a chef. Okay. And that's her passion. She watches the Food Network all the time. So how do you take that and marry it into your real estate business? And this is why discovering your brand is really just your voice. I'm a dude. I talk like a dude. I say fuck, shit, whatever. It's just who I am. If you don't like it, beat it. I don't care. There's not much I can really do about it. But it's because I'm so direct that I also attract a lot of people as well. In her case, when people don't know what their voice is, they're very awkward on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had to talk about cooking on video, I would be like, dude, I'd be like, get out of here, right? So we branded her your real estate chef. That's her tagline, right? So she doesn't give buyer's presentations. She gives recipes to making a wise investment. She doesn't list your house for sale. She's got the secret sauce for getting top dollar. Her media series is called What's Cooking Chesapeake, where she goes around town and she's interviewing a bunch of different people. She's always saying what's up, because that's what a local expert would do. Her client parties probably revolve around dream diners or something along those lines, where it's a cooking event for her client parties. Her closing gift is something with an apron and something in the kitchen, maybe a set of Cutco knives. But because she can relate real estate business to the concept of cooking, she can naturally story tell about it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
That makes all the sense in the world. Yeah. Because now she's passionate about cooking.
Correct.
She just happens to sell real estate.
There's the authenticity. Exactly.
That's beautiful.
That's the authenticity. And that's what video is. It's like when you're authentic on camera and you're just having fun, and you see some people that are on camera, they're just having fun. You're just like, I like that guy.
Yeah.
But when you're like this, hey, market update, fucking 15% of houses with it. No one cares.
Yeah.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah, we get people on the show and you see their personalities. They're normal. They're just talking like you and I having a conversation. And then we get done with the interview and they're like, oh, I didn't talk about the rates or this particular zip code. I'm like, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about that. They want to know you. It's like you said at the beginning, like, trust, right? If I like you, I trust you, I'm gonna hit you up.
Yep. And everyone has it. Everyone has like a brand, or everyone has something. I mean, some of the stories that I'm getting are just crazy. Some sad, some funny, and it's just all over. But everyone has that story, and once you've identified that and found that voice, that's crucial for creating ongoing video.
What would you say is the best way to dig deep and figure out what it is? Because
call real estate marketing, dude.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
For the shameless plug. No, honestly, that's what I do. People use my creativity, because that's the one thing I am. I'm not a good business person, but creativity is my thing, and content and storytelling is those are my strengths.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of your stuff. I'm a big fan. Did you do the taco one?
Yeah. Taco box. We got a couple fun ones coming out. We got a Ron Burgundy remix. We just did a rap video for a team in Atlanta. They're going to be coming out with not rap videos, Bruno Mars. They'll come out on Monday. So yeah, we're getting a lot of and all these things are custom scripts. We're shooting over state lines, and it's really not that hard. It just revolves around learning the right shots. But before you do that, you got to know what your voice is, because that's the key. Absolutely.
So what does it cost? What's your rates? What do you guys charge? How do we get a hold of the real estate marketing dude?
Sure. Anyone can visit my website, simplerealestatemarketingdude.com. My site's like a whole course. I got podcasts. There's a ton of articles. There's a training course on there. But anyone who's interested, you can simply go there and check out the How It Works section. It really outlines our entire process with pricing and all that. Short answer is you could start for $997. You could go all the way up to $3,000. It just depends on what we're doing for you. Not everyone needs a brand. Sometimes people just want to get right on video. So everyone's in a different boat. So we either build the brand or we go right into video. Ultimately, we're building the video marketing campaign, which is built upon the brand. So some people already know what they are. Yeah, all consistency. All we want to do is make database relationship marketing very simple for real estate.
Sweet, brother. Hey, man, I really appreciate it. You coming on the show, being as honest as possible. Love the storytelling. Keep up all the stuff, dude. Everything you post, by the way. I mean, there's a reason why your podcast is successful. There's a reason why you gain traction on videos. Great storytelling. I look forward to more of the stuff that you put out. Good. I learned a ton of stuff from the stuff you put out.
Awesome. Good.
By the way, you guys got any mastermind stuff coming up? Any events that are coming down the pipe?
We will when we're launching this. Once software is launched, I'll probably hit the road. I'd love to do like a deep mastermind video in San Diego, like once every other month or something like that, but still up in the air. Nothing so much. I mean, we run a mastermind with just our students and people that are in our little thing, but nothing planned. I don't have any events or anything like that planned up.
Cool. Well, I'd love to hear about it. I'm sure people would love to hear about it too. Getting the mind of Mr. Mike Cuevas.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, brother. Thanks again for being on the show. By the way, hey, I'm gonna have you tag somebody. Who do you think would be the next good podcast guest?
I don't know. What do you think? Get Sam.
We've been bugging Sam. We got to get him on the calendar though. So
I'll give you his assistant's number.
That's the best hookup right there. Give me the gatekeeper. We'll get through the gatekeeper.
There you go.
All right, brother. Hey, man.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Bye.